Okay, hope you're having a good day. This is a video on how to replace the stub axles or stub shaft axles in your Dana 60 that's located on most 2003 Dakotas and better. Some of the older ones also are the same. The Dana 60 is also used in some other Chrysler trucks. I think the 1500 size uses them also. First thing you need to decide is how you know you have a Dana 60. This is what I put these on here for. This is a Dana 60 right here. This is a Dana 44 and 35. The Dana 60s and the Dana 70s look almost identical, but if you look close you can see there is a difference. This is what they call a 10 bolt. So if you don't have one of these configurations you're looking at, you have a different type of differential, and this video only applies to the Dana 60. This Dana 60 diagram shows a gasket that comes with it. Don't be alarmed if you don't see a gasket in there. The factory uses liquid gasket material, and so do I. This is what you're looking to replace. This is a typical stub shaft axle. One side is longer than the other side. Both sides have similar grooves like this on the end. These receive a C-clip and holds them in place. This is the combination bearing and seal that you can use. You can buy these parts really cheap on a website called Rock Auto if you like. That's where I get my stuff. I order it online and it gets here in a couple days. It saves me money. I don't have to drive around town trying to match up parts and stuff like that. This is what a regular bearing looks like. If you have a regular bearing in your truck instead of one of these, it's a little bit difficult to get the old one out. What I do is I use a Dremel with a cutting disc on it, and I cut a little groove in the race right here after you take this out of there, and that relieves the pressure in this in the race, and it'll slide out. This is what you're looking at when you take the cover off your Dana 60. The axle comes in this way, comes through this gear, and stops here. Same with the other side. And this retaining pin holds these two gears in and also keeps the axle shaft from sliding any further in. And so what happens is you need to keep that axle shaft lined up with the bearing and keep it from flopping around. The axle shaft is actually pulled back in this direction, and it's recessed in this gear a little bit. And when that happens, what it does is it conceals the clip right here. So what you need to do is take this pin out so you can slide the axle shaft into this portion of the space, and then you will see the C-clip and you can remove it. Removing it's pretty easy with a pair of small screwdrivers. It'll pop out. Getting it back in there might require a C-clip tool to use to get it in there. That's what I used. Trying to put that back in there with your fingers is impossible unless you have really small fingers. But it goes in there, and then you pull the axle back towards each direction so it gets recessed in, and then you can slide that shaft back in. But here's a tip. When you take this shaft off, this shaft also holds these spider gears in place right here. So there's nothing holding them in. Don't do like I did and start turning this around. You turn this big gear so you can get this shaft so it'll come out and clear the bottom of your case. And then when you rotate it back, the gear motion makes these gears turn like a wheel, and they just roll out. And there's a reason why us backyard mechanics don't get paid very much, and brain surgeons do. That's because you don't need to be a brain surgeon to get those gears back in there. So don't panic. There's a little spacer, it looks like a washer on each end that will come out with the gear. Put them back in. They recess in there. They can only go in one way, and then play with it and you'll get them back in. You'll have to turn the drive shaft and the axles together to make it work. Once it works, you can slide this pin back in there. Now, getting this pin out. This roll pin they call it, goes all the way through this shaft and stops right about here. My problem was when I opened it up, I didn't know, the back has a bolt that goes through there. It's not one of these. I didn't see the bolt, so I thought maybe it broke off or something. I discovered it was a roller pin because I put a piece of wire all the way through, and so I knew that it was probably a roller pin. Got it out by taking a 3/16 inch piece of steel shaft. In my case, I used an old drill bit, put it in there, put this 1/4 inch socket on there with an extender, and popped it out. The only way this will come out is from this way direction to this direction. Don't try to beat it through the other way. It will not come out. There's a stop in there. So take it out. It comes right out, and then you can slide the shaft out. So once you get that out, you can, when you put it back in, make sure you put it in where, so the shaft, the hole in the shaft lines up with this hole, and you can get it back in there. If it doesn't line up perfectly, you can take a small screwdriver and stick it in there and twist the shaft a little bit so that it does. But if it's lined up over here or over here, you're going to pull that shaft back out so you can twist it around and get it lined up. Once you get it in there, stick that back in after your C-clips are in, and you pull the axles back up. Getting the bearing in and out, this bearing, it's a combination bearing seal, is a piece of cake. No problem. It pops out, put the new one in, and you're in business. And then put the cover back on, and you're done. Make sure you don't forget to put the axle grease back in there. That's very important. Coming up next is another video I'm using. It seems Chrysler made a little engineering problem. It's a small problem, but it could be a huge cost for us guys that do off-the-road work. So I'll link it to this video. Thank you. Have a good day.